Welcome to Reiki Rising, your guide to all things Reiki and igniting your spiritual path. Join us every week as we delve into the transformative world of Reiki, sharing insights on how to navigate this earthly journey while elevating the vibration of the collective. Be prepared for deep discussions, enlightening interviews, and maybe even a glimpse or two into our live Instagram Reiki shares and conversations. Whether you're a seasoned practitioner or new to the energy healing realm, this podcast is your sanctuary for growth, healing, and connection. Hey friends. Welcome to our first live discussion here on this new platform, coming together each week to talk about some topic related to Reiki. This week we are talking about unbinding and cord cutting. We will go through a discussion today about understanding cord cutting, what it is and why it's essential for our well-being, identifying these energetic attachments, and learning to recognize the signs and signals when we do have these cords. Effective techniques, discovering powerful practices for us to cut these cords and reclaim our energy, healing and renewal, why this is so important. We'll also be talking about how this fosters spiritual growth, integrating cord cutting into your life, practical tips for ongoing energetic maintenance, and we'll be talking about our spirit team a little bit, our team that's here to support us. So as we begin, let's just take a moment to ground, to invite our guides, animals, etc., our support team into the space and connect to source energy so that we feel empowered together. So take a breath here and just really ground in, root in here. Just arrive here in this space, being open to this conversation, finding presence. This is one of those topics that can possibly bring up a lot, especially since we're talking about cords, these connections that we have. And usually when we talk about this, they are negative cords, things that are draining to our energy and sometimes are sensitive. So calling our guides into the space, calling our spirit team here to support us. Okay. Let's begin. So understanding cord cutting, why this is essential for our well-being. Cords are these energetic connections that we have between people when we are connected to other souls. This can be a one-way or a two-way flow. Ideally, if this is something that is beneficial to us and if we are in a good space with this cord, this is an even energy exchange. So it's flowing both ways evenly, but sometimes this becomes a one-way flow. And that's when we're looking at where this cord needs to be nurtured, if it needs to be cut. Those are the things that we are wanting to identify as we're talking about cord cutting. So cords are these energetic connections, and I like to think of them more as like a plug-in. So as we meet people, this isn't really something that's going to form when we are just meeting someone in passing, unless we have a good conversation with them and like we continue that connection. But just someone that you pass by on the street, it's unlikely that you're going to form this cord with that person. This is more people that are in our lives that we have some type of relationship with, either a friendship, a coworker, people that we interact with on a regular basis in some capacity. People that we're exchanging energy with on a deeper level. So this, like I said, can be a one-way or a two-way flow. So the goal here is to have that balanced energetic relationship, the give and the take. When one soul is taking more and receive more than they're um, giving out, this sometimes is where we need to address those cords. So I want you to think about these cords as well as a multi-layer uh, aspect. So this is not just something that is just attached to our physical or energetic body. This goes through the layers. This is attached to our physical and our energetic body. So it goes from our physical into our aura, out into the ethers, into this other person's aura, and into their physical body as well. And so we create these attachments through our beliefs, through our thoughts. We can also create them to places as well. So we can create cords by spending a lot of time in one place. The stories that we kind of create around these, we'll notice that these positive cords are really important as well. So when we often think of cord cutting, we seem to think of this as just a negative cord that needs to be cut because it's no longer serving. It's even harmful sometimes because we're exchanging energy in this way that's very draining to us. And maybe the person or being on the other side of this cord is really drawing that energy, and then there's not an even exchange. So we'll talk about those, but I'd also like to talk about the positive aspect of cords. So we have positive, loving relationships as well. So cords that are connected to the heart center, these are very loving, nurturing relationships often. So if we think about our relationship to our partner or to our best friend or sometimes family, so we think about this as an even loving exchange, this cord that's there. And there may sometimes, within these positive cords, there may not be necessarily a whole cord that needs to be cut, but sometimes maybe there's just a thread here that we need to focus on and we need to look at a little closer and start to really identify where maybe there's just one aspect of this relationship, because it's going to be very unlikely that we're going to have 100% positive cords to anyone or anything. It's just very, very unlikely. So these are often very positive cords, but maybe there's one or two aspects of this connection that could be nurtured or could be looked at in a different way and looked at a little closer so that we can heal those connections with each other. Because if we have this loving exchange with each other, we're wanting to heal that. We don't want that to become more and more frayed. We want to look at this and nurture it. So when we're talking about cord cutting, not necessarily cutting these positive cords, but nurturing them. And when we're looking at the negative cords, these are places where we're really trying to heal a part of us. So we're needing to heal something, or we're seeking out this energy or relationship that will draw awareness to this so that we can heal it, especially when this is a limiting belief. So sometimes we have these beliefs, and this is, based on our experiences. They're all different for everybody. But for example, if you have a limiting belief that you are not worthy of love, or that you're difficult to be around, or that you're, not lovable in some way, we are going to see that this is something that we are going to, through our journey, seek to validate. Because psychologically, as humans, we want to validate our beliefs. So we're going to be trying to seek relationships or connections or cords that validate that limiting belief. This could also be that, you're not successful. And so, or that you don't have what it takes to be successful. So maybe you seek out jobs that, or positions that you are going to put yourself in that don't have room to grow, that you will be kept small. So when we have these limiting beliefs, we're creating this weak spot in our energetic field for these cords to attach. So this sometimes can become a toxic relationship, or it's really just something that needs to be healed within ourselves. So learning to recognize this, we create these attachments through our beliefs, thoughts, places, and stories that create a cord that's sometimes negative. So when we notice there's an imbalance here, we notice that there is um, a cord that needs to be healed in some way, we're going to want to look at that a little bit closer and notice what the story is attached to that. So one of the ways that we can identify these cords is through a Bonson scan. And so this would be just taking some time to scan through your body energetically. And you can do this with your hands by starting at your crown and just moving your hands over the face through each of these energy centers. Now, I want to also challenge you to think about chakras or energy centers in a different way. So generally we see like somebody with like these spinning wheels or these symbols across where we generally think of that chakra to specifically be located, but these are more of fields in our body. So something connected to the heart may also be in the arm. It may even be all the way up to like the collarbone where it meets the throat chakra as well. And the throat chakra can come all the way up through our jaw, through our ears. So these are more of like a field, and they all are kind of working together. So there may be kind of more of a flow of energy here is what we're looking for, an exchange of energy between these points. So when you're doing the scan, and you can also mentally scan through these places as well. So think about scanning from our top of our head through our entire body and really feeling into these spaces that feel a little weak, maybe, where you're feeling some sensation that feels just not right. And we want to lean into our intuition here. We want to lean into the first thing that comes up for you. So if something comes up for you that says, oh, my heart's a little heavy, or maybe, oh, I feel in my solar plexus and my stomach, there's just like my digestion has been off. I'm just feeling really drained. I feel like my power's going somewhere. Like there's just something that's just taking all of my energy in my life right now. Maybe it's in your sacral area where you are feeling like, I don't feel creative. I don't feel like there's anything that I want to express, like you're having trouble expressing yourself. Maybe it's in your throat, or maybe you're having trouble listening even. So when our throat chakra is also active listening. So really feeling through all of these spaces in our body and using your intuition here and your clair gifts here. So what do you feel? What do you see? So when you get to one of these spaces where you identify that maybe there's a cord there, ask yourself here, is this something that needs to be healed? Is it something that needs to be nurtured? Because too often we are focused on trying to just cut this cord. So maybe it just needs some nurturing. So when you identify maybe this one cord that you've come across first, ask yourself, is this something that needs to be removed? Is it something that needs to be healed or nurtured? And what does this look like? So asking yourself, what does this look like? What does this cord look like? Feel into the texture, the temperature, the first image that you get, and trust your intuition. Trust the first thing that comes to mind, and just go with it. Even if it seems strange, even if it seems like you're just making this up, just go with it and follow that intuitive guidance. Follow it into where this cord is going. Where am I giving my power away? So if I maybe have a cord in my solar plexus that I am feeling into and I'm like, oh, what is this? Maybe it's like a mother wound, or um, maybe it's something related to a childhood experience. So, in order for this cord to be connected, let's also talk about um, there has to be, even somewhere, a subconscious agreement to this. So, this is where we really get into those limiting beliefs, and we really get into those uh, shadow work aspects of this. So, it's in our nature to seek out these connections. And so when we, like I said earlier, where we have this limiting belief, we're seeking out this connection to prove that to ourselves, but our higher self is also wanting to heal this. So we have to be really honest with ourselves here in discovering this, and you can only go as deep as you allow yourself to go. And if we're wanting to remove this cord and we don't want it to come back to us, then we really need to look at this. And it may be the case that there are multiple layers to this. And so when we make an agreement to this, even subconsciously, we're making an agreement to exchange our energy with this cord. And it may not seem like it, and you may be saying, like, that's crazy. Why would I agree to this toxic relationship? But you're at this point now where you're recognizing that cord and you're recognizing this weak spot in our energy field where we are drawing this energy in. We are asking to heal this. So we want to look at this connection as an even exchange. What have we agreed to? Why have we agreed to it? And what do we believe about ourselves that has created this cord? What are these beliefs that we're holding, that we're agreeing to through our free will, that we're seeking this out to give that experience to us? Because we're asking for these experiences, and they may be really difficult experiences. But if we look at this at a deeper level, we can understand that we're asking to go through, like, our higher self, our soul's guide is asking us to go through this because we are looking to heal a part of ourselves and integrate a part of ourselves that needs a little more nourishment and attention. So when we ask for this experience to happen, we are making that agreement. And it may seem crazy, but that's what it is. We're making these agreements. So, for example, I'll use a personal example. I have a pretty significant mother wound from childhood, and that's why I mentioned that earlier as an example. So, in this mother wound, I, spent my whole life not really noticing that I had that mother wound, that, like, how deep it was. I was aware of it, but not how deep it was and how many layers were to that wound over and over these experiences through our whole childhood, through our whole life. We connect with people and they either prove or prove us wrong about this wound. So once you start learning about these cords and start really asking yourself where these come from, it gives you the space to look at it at another level. And you can look back at these other relationships with maybe mother archetypes that you have and how you have exchanged energy with these people. And so looking at the mother figures in my life, people that I look to for maternal guidance, I've really, especially during this last retrograde and during this last eclipse season, looked at this attachment, looked at this cord, and how it's connected to, certain people, and how it's connected further down the line to my actual mother, and going through that experience. So, looking at how I interact with this energy exchange. What am I seeking here? What am I looking to heal within? What is the underlying root of this? Because we want to get to the root. If we can also look at this as like a weed that needs to be pulled, or also just something that needs to be nurtured. So if we're looking at this, we do want to look at it from the root. Like, where does this really come from? And we may just be looking at, one strand of this cord. Like I said, positive cords can be there, and then there can be just these strands that we're multi-layered beings. Everyone's a multi-layered being. So there's this layer that may be positive and one that may not be so positive. And there's no, right or wrong in this. But as we're looking at this, we want to really look at what's the baseline of this wound that needs to be healed, and where does that come from, and is it, again, asking, is it something that needs to be healed? Is it something that needs to be nurtured, or is it something that needs to be removed? So for this mother wound, if I am looking at these other attachments to people, and that specific attachment in this weak point where that energy is coming through and has attached, I don't necessarily need to heal that mother wound with that person. That experience is showing me the truth of what I need to heal in my childhood experience, in this other layer. So we're feeling into that and really looking at that particular area. So maybe I could unplug this cord from that person particularly, or I could choose to nourish it. You always have to really feel into what is right for you. What is the most beneficial way for you to interact with this? And really trust your intuition here. Is it something that's making you feel small and disempowered? And what would it look like to heal that part of you so that that was no longer the case? And how could you go about that? So that brings us into effective techniques of how to cut these cords. So once we've identified like where these are within our body, so we're looking at, maybe as an example, looking at a loving connection from our heart chakra, which is usually positive. Again, sometimes there are negative threads there. Maybe there's just something that needs to be healed there. And sometimes, this could also be we're feeling physical ailments in our shoulders, our elbows, with our heart here, and our wrists. That's, some loving aspect there of a relationship is asking something from us to discover here. So if we're wanting to nurture that, doing this with visualization of really nurturing that cord. But if we're wanting to cut this cord, so maybe something with our solar plexus in this relationship where we are being depleted, where our energy has really been drawn away, we're looking at where this cord is connected to and why it's here. And then we're utilizing Reiki here within our energy centers, and we're asking guidance from our guides, from universal life force energy, to aid us in healing a part of these. So when you go into a meditation to remove these cords, whether you incorporate some type of spell work, I practice witchcraft, I practice spell work. This is really just a tool or focal point for this specific energy work. You don't need all of those tools to do this. You can do it just with intention. Intention is key in everything, all the time. So if your intention is to heal or to remove this cord, to unplug from this connection, then we are looking at healing that place within us. So asking for guidance, asking for Reiki to come in and support us as we do this work. We are looking at also what we're going to do with this cord. So I made a little video on social media this week talking about what we do with the cords. So as we disconnect this cord, we'll start there. So we're going to again tap into that intuition. So you're going to look at the texture, you're going to the temperature, and you're going to take your time to really look at what this cord looks like, really look at where it is deep within you, the sensations that you feel. really taking your time here to connect with it. This isn't just a like whoop, unplug. Take your time. Maybe it looks uh, like strings, maybe it looks like taffy, maybe it looks like tar, like roots. Whatever this is for you, just trust the first image that comes up for you in this particular spot where you feel this cord connected. And once you have that image and you have come into this understanding of why it's there, and you're looking at this, you can begin to draw that energy out, even physically with your hands, just drawing that energy out from your body. Nice and slow, looking at it, intentionally moving in through this practice. So once you have this cord and it is out of you, it's unplugged, it's disconnected. If we need to cut it, we can cut it, maybe with little scissors, or maybe it's a sword or an axe, or what are we going to do with it now? We have this end to this cord and it's connected to this other person. So if it's connected to this other person, where is it going to go? Because this is an energetic exchange, right? And so we want to make sure that we're doing something not only to heal that part of ourselves, because this space that this cord was connected to needs healing. So we're asking for Reiki to come in and to support us in this journey, for our guides to support us, and for the healing energy to be moved into the space so that we're sealing this space off, creating a barrier of love for us to heal this part of us so that this cord doesn't come back, right? We don't want this cord to come back. And the truth of the matter is, if we haven't fully done the work to heal this part of ourselves and we're just like, oh, here's the cord, unplug, and we think that it's done and over with, that's going to come back. So if you're really serious about this practice, you have to be all in. This is not something that you just easily unplug, snip, there we go, we're done. You have to heal that part. And on the other end, we can't control if that other person, because they're also seeking out that place to plug into, right? So we can't control if that person heals that part of themselves. But what we can do is we can either, we can burn this cord, do what feels right for you. We can burn it, we can bury it, we can do whatever you like, releasing it to the earth, getting rid of it in some way. But in Reiki, as a practitioner of Reiki and as someone who is wanting to learn more about Reiki, we are looking to bless other people, and we understand that we are all connected as one. And so, if I'm not wishing harm on this other person as I'm cutting this cord, I'm wishing for them to be healed, for that aspect of them to be healed, for divine guidance to assist them on their journey. So what we can do here is we can plug this into divine source. We can plug this into Reiki. We can send Reiki to the person who is taking this energy from us. And we can do this in a way that we're not depleting ourselves, because now we've removed that cord. Now that connection has ended. And so we are sending this into the cosmos. We are sending universal guidance to help them on their journey. This is releasing us from any sense of like victimhood as well. We're taking our power back, and it's empowering us to do this by helping the other person in a way that's not depleting to ourselves. So if we are in a space to send healing and love and guidance to this person, and then we're done. That's it. We're done. We have said, let it be, and sent this into divine source for them to handle their things. And then we can think about taking an energetic barrier again around us of divine light and love, to just hold space for us to heal within, to integrate this process within, so that if we do start to notice that this starts to come back and that it's starting to kind of creep in again, like maybe we go through something and that kind of wound that we did have is starting to open up again. When we come back into a place where we are noticing that, when we're looking at how maybe this has come back for us, we are in a place where we're able to um, recognize that and then go and nurture this place within us. This is something that, again, you may come into a situation where you are feeling like maybe that is starting to open up, and we are in a place where we can recognize that a little more. And so we can lean into our practices of Reiki, our self care practices, our meditation, and we can help ourselves heal before we really let that cord reattach again. So, the more time that we do this and we understand why this connection was made, the more introspection that we have, the more we grow in our spiritual growth. And again, we can always ask our guides for assistance. We can always ask for that help as we begin to integrate these cords. So, doing a weekly scanning, journaling, being mindful about our connections, these are all ways that we can look at the connections in our life and start to nurture this as really like a self-care practice, really paying attention to these attachments and these cords as they begin to form. So maybe it doesn't get to the point where we really need to do that removal or that cord cutting. Again, there's always going to be times when that has to happen. But as we are healing these parts of ourselves, we are looking to reclaim our power. So doing this as a weekly practice helps us to build a better relationship with our spirit and with our energetic beings that are around us, with us always. So all of our guides, we build a relationship there, and that really helps to expand this spiritual journey for us. So again, this is just a practice of really listening. Just to recap, we are looking at identifying these cords, like how they occur, how they've happened, um, looking at why they're there, if they need to be removed, or if there's something that we just need to nurture, how to remove these effectively, what to do to heal those parts of ourselves and to integrate. So bringing all of this together into a practice that aligns with you, use the self-care practices that work best for you. And I hope that this is beneficial to you. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to know how you're going to use this practice. If something came alive for you during this, um, if you feel like there's something that you want to put this into practice with clients or with yourself, this can obviously also, if you're a Reiki practitioner, this is a way that we can heal, help assist clients healing the space when cutting these cords as well. So now that we have talked about this, let's go into a practice for our meditation. Thank you for joining for the Reiki Rising live discussion this week on unbinding, on cord cutting. If you enjoyed this practice, if you enjoyed this discussion, please give us a review on the podcast platform that you are on. Save the podcast, share the podcast. I really appreciate all of the support as we are building this community together. And join us next week as we discuss a new topic. Not sure what that topic will be yet, but I hope that you will join us. And if you have not checked out the Reiki Rising
Collective, please do so. The link is in our description of this episode, and it will bring you to our Patreon, which has a free option to listen to the podcast episodes, insights and posts there that are to help guide you on your Reiki journey, your spiritual journey. And then also there's an option to start a 7-day free trial. And last week, or earlier this week on Sunday, we launched our masterclass on abundance and gratitude. So Radiating Abundance was the name of this masterclass, and it is focused on finding the vibration of gratitude in hopes to help you unblock some of our ways that we are blocking our abundance. So ways that we have limiting beliefs, or some areas that we can focus on healing, and some practices that we can lean into to radiate abundance, to draw prosperity and abundance into our lives. So if that's something that you're looking to do, check out that 7-day free trial. You get to listen to that masterclass for free. And then if you decide that the Reiki Rising Collective is not for you, feel free to end your subscription. No commitment necessary. Just check it out for that 7 days. Listen to the masterclass. Look at all the other benefits we have. And if you want to join us for our weekly live discussions here, that is an option as well. For the Reiki Rising paid membership, you do gain access to join us for these lives, for the discussions and the live Reiki share. So if that's something that you're interested in, definitely check out that trial. Join us for one of the discussions and see what it's all about. You also get early access to these workshops. So any of the workshops, master classes that come up, you get early access to those. You also get 20% off your Reiki sessions with me. This is distance or in person if you're located here in Spokane, Washington. Or you can also access one-on-one coaching with me, and you also get one-on-one coaching with me each month. So if that's something that you are looking to embark on, if you are curious about, definitely check out that link. Thank you again for joining me, and make sure to listen to the following episode for our live practice recording. Thank you for joining us on this transformative journey with Reiki Rising. Ready to take your spiritual expansion to the next level? Join us on the Reiki Rising Collective and unlock a world of connection and growth. Subscribe through our Patreon, link in the description of this podcast episode, and gain access to exclusive weekly live distance Reiki shares and enriching discussions. As a member, you'll also receive one-on-one coaching sessions, discounts on workshops, and so much more. Follow me, your guide in all things Reiki, on Instagram at Raven Waterblossom, and take the next step on your journey. Join us in the Reiki Rising Collective. We can't wait to meet you.